It's me, it's Queen Oset Haru. And if you haven't already, please hit that red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, I got a message the other day from this man. I don't remember his sign, but basically he told me that he was coming to me because he wanted me to help him deal with an issue with his side piece. Now, I have had this request many times. Oddly and triflingly and disgustingly enough, I've had this many times. Now, I've had it from men and I've had it from women. Now, I don't believe in judging people for what they've done. Mostly because almost everything they've done, I've done already. I've done already, probably worse than they did. But I'm not helping people deceive their lovers. And I'm not co signing it either. Yeah, we've all, not all, many of us have done it. Yeah, it happens. But I'm not co signing. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's the worst karma you can ever possibly draw to yourself. Not the worst. Murder could be worse. There's a couple of them that really are worse, but it's one of the worst karma. One of the worst you can bring back to yourself. And I'm not going to go back and forth with you about it. All I'm going to tell you is I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you with that. What I am going to help you with is getting your head on straight and figuring out what you need to do to move to the next level. And that is deal with the person that you were in the commitment with. Now, I'm not saying you have to stay with this person forever. I'm not. Somebody once told me if somebody gets married, that doesn't mean they have to stay married. I understand that. I totally understand that because I'm divorced. I totally understand that. But you need to deal with the first person, the person that you're married to, before you try to deal with the second person and their issues and their drama in their life and making a life or making whatever with them. If you're in a relationship with someone, deal with that first. Whatever is going on with that person, deal with that before you attempt to be in love with somebody else. You're not doing anything but making a mess. This man is married. This woman is married. And they're in love with each other. You're not in love with each other, first of all. Because 9 times out of 10, what's happening here is you're crutching on this person for some inadequacy in your current relationship. So instead of fixing it, instead of working on it, instead of dealing with it, you find another person to soothe you, to talk with you, to make you feel better. But it's not an answer to the problem. A side joint, a mistress, is not an answer to the problem. It's compounding the problem with more mess. Side joints get pregnant. Side joints get angry. Side joints get serious about you. Side joints try to key your car, and in some cases they don't. This man told me that not the same man, a different man, told me that he had been with his wife for 35 years and his mistress for 30 years. The second woman is the crutch to stay in the first relationship. He would have been divorced his first wife if he didn't have a crutch, if he didn't have somewhere to go when things went wrong. So my thing is, deal with the first relationship. Either stop being in it, fix it. Imagine that. Imagine working on your relationship. Okay? I'm just sitting there dumbfounded and really like I can't believe that people come to me or to anyone to help them in these situationships. Only because of the fact, like I always say, ask an Aquarius, but don't ask us that. If you got to ask somebody about infidelity, Don't ask an Aquarius. Ask a Scorpio. Ask somebody else. Ask somebody who is cool with that, even if it's not a Scorpio. Maybe it's I don't know, anything. Ask somebody who thinks that's okay, because I don't. I think it's bad for you, and I think it's bad for the other person. Because quite frankly, like I said before, the smart thing to do is to fix the first relationship. He said to me, he said, we make time for our other partners. So to him, because he makes time for his family and she obviously makes time for her family, that it's okay for them to have an affair with each other. Having an affair is never okay. Cheating is never okay. Being unfaithful is never okay. Bottom line. And nothing you say to me, no way you twist it, no way that you spin it around, no way that is never okay. It's always a lack of integrity on whoever is involved, period. And if it's somebody that you don't want to be with, get the courage to stop being with them and move on. Because the bottom line is that no, you don't have to stay with them for the rest of your life. You stay with the person as long as you mean the commitment in your heart. When you don't mean the commitment in your heart anymore, making time for them and playing house with them is not enough. So it's time for you to basically make a decision about what it is you want to do. And then if that's not the person you want to be with, if you don't want to stay with your spouse anymore, you can move on to the next person. That's on you. You can move on and see if the grass is greener. But to be honest with you, I would never trust somebody that I was having an affair with. Straight up. I think that's not intelligent, because if they was having an affair with you, they'll have an affair on you. And some people will be like, well, they were unhappy. It was this, it was that. I've heard every excuse in the book. I've been doing reading since 1999. I have come across a lot of people. I have talked to a lot of people across the world, and I've never heard a good reason. It's always just an excuse for not wanting to do the work to fix the first relationship or to walk away from the first relationship. I've heard it's for the kids. I've heard it would kill her. I've heard it would kill him. I've heard he would kill himself. I've heard every excuse from people as to why they have a side piece or why they're creeping instead of just moving on. And then, of course, I also hear the one of, this man once told me, I have a happy marriage. Why would I leave? Well, if you have a happy marriage, then why are you having an affair? Why are you even considering another woman? Come again? Unless you're trying to tell me you want to be poly, in which case that's something you also need to work out with your spouse. If that's something that you want to do and your spouse is with it, then do it. But if your spouse is not with it, don't just go doing what you want to do and lying to your spouse. That just shouldn't be your spouse. You obviously need a poly spouse. It kills me how people think it's okay to be selfish with another person's life. You're putting that person's life in jeopardy by having sex with people. You don't know what kind of STDs or diseases you could be bringing home. And people say to me, oh, I take care of that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Some people do, and a lot of people just don't. Come on. And it doesn't make sense either way. Even if you are taking the proper precautions, what are you out in the street having sex on your partner for? Like, seriously. And then thinking it's okay. But then, yet and still, if their partner does something, then they're up in arms. Like, people, we gotta treat each other better. And this is one of those areas, It's not even the area that I intended to talk about, but it keeps on coming up. It keeps coming to my inbox. And I'm sitting there looking at this like, are you serious? Every time somebody says, I'm married, but I'm in a relationship, but I'm like, I don't even answer the second part of the question. I don't even answer the second part. I don't care what's going on with your mistress. I don't care what's going on with your side dude. I don't care about this peasy head boy. I'm sorry. I'm not even answering the second half of the question, because the bottom line is the first half. If you don't deal with the first relationship and what's going on in the first relationship, to me, the second relationship is just Irrelevant. It's irrelevant to me. I don't even want to talk about it because you're never going to get anywhere in either situation with all that mess going on. You got to clean things up. And the only way to start the cleaning up process is to go back to the first relationship, the first situation, the first person, and deal with it. Okay? And then after you've dealt with it, whatever you're going to do with it, if you're still interested in the second person is still interested in you, then you can deal with that second issue. Then we can talk about it. But until that first issue is taken care of, your second issue is not relevant. And I don't even understand why you would even do that to another person. You need to look inside of yourself and think, why is that okay? When I was in those situations, when I was in situations where I was talking to a married man, I was thinking about this married man the other day I was talking to when I was like 20-something years old. He was a Libra. And I swore I loved this Libra. I still don't know what the hell that was about now that I think about it. I think we were both just lonely. And I think about that, and I think about the actions, and I think about where I was, and I think about all the mess we made, and I think about the negativity. It didn't do anybody any good at all. Not him, not me, not her, nobody. And she ended up cheating on him because, of course, she found out about us. So, she was angry. So she cheated on him. And then they had to deal with that debacle, that dilemma, years after the fact. This trickled down years after the fact. I was gone and wasn't even talking to him by the time that happened. I found out after the fact because he wanted me to know that was the result. And I was like, so I know that our society gives you the impression that infidelity is okay. I know our society gives you the impression that having a side joint is cool, having a mistress is all right. I know. I see it in the movies. I see DMX with his side joints in that movie. I forgot what it was called. You see it. You see it all the time, and people talk about it, and everybody's doing it. And I know that I might sound like a fossil making these statements today, but it's not cool. I don't care what they tell you, karmically speaking, morally speaking, emotionally speaking, ethically speaking, it's not cool. It's not cool and it's not right. And if you're doing stuff like that, I ask you to really consider why, number one, and stopping, number two. I ask you to have more respect for yourself and the other person. I ask you to tap into your integrity because everybody has some, and it's inside of you. Tap into your integrity and do the right thing. Okay? So if you have to ask anyone, don't ask an Aquarius about that. Don't do it. Please get your situation together, then come ask me about the new person. Okay? Take care.